Welcome to the Wonders of Watercolour, where today I'm going to show you how to paint this pretty blueberry using watercolour with easy to follow steps. Let's do it. Okay, if you're new here, welcome to the Wonders of Watercolour. I'm Ray Campbell, and today I'm going to show you how to paint this blueberry with easy to follow steps. Even if you're new to painting, you can join in, and if you don't like drawing, don't worry, because we provide you with a simple outline that you can download, and these are free over on our Patreon, and I'll tell you a little bit about those later. My gift to you so that you can join in with our watercolour tutorials. Having said that, it is quite an easy shape to draw so that you can just draw it freehand if you want to. So watercolour is all about adding colours on top of each other to get the colour that we need. When you're looking at the blueberry, there are lots of different shifts in tone and colour. So to start with, we're going to mix our lightest wash, which is the colour that you can see, that is the colour of the bloom on the blueberry. This one is actually called Blueberry by Deep Light. These are handmade paints, but you can use whichever paints that you want to. Something like an indigo, a watered down indigo would work just as well. And I'm going to start by mixing a really watered down version of this colour. So this watery mix is going to form the base colour of the blueberry, and it's the lightest colour that you can see all over, so we can take this colour everywhere. I'm going to use my number 8 brush. Use whichever brush that you have that you feel comfortable with, and we can make a start. So a really watery mix of blueberry going all over. Like I said, Payne's grey would work just as well, mixed in with a little bit of your favourite blue colour, but just add plenty of water because you want this to be the lightest colour that we see on the blueberry to build up the colours as we go. Okay, so just straight onto the paper. The paper that I'm using today is from Arches, and it's a rough surface, which I really like using because I do feel it lends itself well to layering your paint. So straight onto the paper like this. I decided to make this an enlarged painting so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. But of course, when you paint out the free traceable, if you want to trace it down, you can paint it whatever size you want to, whatever you feel comfortable with. Now that we've got our first layer in place, I'm going to add some more blueberry to this mix to make it a slightly thicker consistency. I'm going to have another colour called Starry Night. You could use, like I said, an indigo if you wanted to, or Payne's grey. That sort of tone is what you're looking to get, okay? These colours, by the way, are from Deep Light. We've got Blueberry, Forget-Me-Not and Starry Night. These are handmade paints. They're rather special, and I really enjoy working with them because the granulation that you can see here. Starry Night is a granulating paint with little bits of gold and gold flecks, and I don't know whether the camera is picking it up there, but these are really, really beautiful handmade paints. Like I said, you can use whichever colours that you want to, but if you did want to treat yourself to these, I will link it in the description along with a discount code. So as it's drying, I'm going to pick up the thicker mix of blueberry, the same colour, and I'm going to just drop this in while that paint is still damp. Of course I had to use blueberry for this one. Deep Light had this colour, so I thought it would make sense just to use it straight from the pan there. And just to the bottom, taking it over that initial wash. We can go quite dark on the bottom here, but we're not going to take it everywhere. We're just going to dot it onto the paper, kind of randomly, like this. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Starry Night. This is a really beautiful granulating paint, and just drop that in as well. Just here and there on our very dark areas. Just like that. Doing this wet in wet. Starry Night and blueberry. Cleaning my brush, back to blueberry, just dropping it in, just taking some off there, just dropping it in here and there. You can drop it in the middle, just around this area, but you don't want to take it anywhere because remember, this light area here is going to form the bloom that we see on blueberries. Blueberries have this beautiful bloom that you can rub off, and that's what we're trying to achieve with this wash. Okay. So we are just using 3 colours today, as I've said: Starry Night, blueberry, and possibly a little bit of Forget-Me-Not. So cleaning my brush, going back to that mid-tone blueberry, and just dropping it in where I feel we need that stronger colour. And you can just keep going here and there, keeping some of the lighter areas. Because these paints are granulating, they will separate out on the palette, which is why you can see me kind of just doing this. And all we can do at this point is have a little bit of patience and let this dry, because we need to focus on this bit next. So you can see already it's taken the shape of a blueberry. It's quite magical how these paints work. I'm going to be patient and let that dry, but I just wanted to take out that error with a little bit of a magic eraser. If ever you do this and you mark your paper, just take a little bit of a magic sponge or magic eraser, and that will remove that with a little bit of ease. Oftentimes we splash our watercolour paper with paint, so that's easily removed with a little bit of magic eraser. I'm going to let that dry and we can come back and start building up the centre. I've zoomed in a little bit for you so that you can see how this paint is now kind of blooming into the blueberry. We've got this gorgeous separation of colour and it's making it look really, really natural, but we do need to build up these colours now. Going back to the two colours that I mixed, which are blueberry and Starry Night, and this time adding them together to create this nice kind of a nice dark colour. I'm going to take my smaller brush. This is my number 2. These brushes that I'm using today are from my set from Craft Mo. At the time of filming this video, we still had some stock left, but if you want to check them out, I will link them in the description box underneath so that you can, if you want to treat yourself to some new brushes, along with the links and the discount code to the paints. So the brushes are designed by me, and like I said, at the time of filming, we do have some sets left, but they are limited edition. And if you want to check them out, I will link everything in the description box underneath. So this first wash is now dry, and I'm taking my number 2 brush with a thicker mix of the same colours as before, this time focusing on the dark area around the centre part of the blueberry. So I'm just mixing these two up using my number 2 brush, and I'm just going to apply this to the edge of the pattern that we see on the top. I'm not taking it everywhere, I'm just going to go on to the edge to form the shape. You'll notice that it comes down into some of the area here, so we can take it down, and then I'm cleaning my brush and I'm patting it on my kitchen paper, and then just using that brush just to wiggle and stretch it into the areas like this. Now by applying the paint this way, what you'll get is a nice soft natural effect rather than a hard edge that you can get with watercolour. So onto the paper first of all, following the line that you drew with your pencil, and taking it in like this. So this tutorial is suitable for beginners, or if you've got more experience. We like to cater for everybody here on the Wonders of Watercolour. So a little bit more of that Starry Night, which is that beautiful granulating gold colour. I know there's no gold on blueberries, but this is a really special paint and I wanted a chance to use it. So I'm just following that line, leaving a little gap here and there, working around that little central piece, cleaning my brush, patting it on my kitchen paper to take off that excess water, and then just using the brush to pull that paint around. This will give you full control of your watercolour application, and it means that you can paint with confidence. Now over here on the Wonders of Watercolour, I think we have over 200 videos now to choose from. Do check us out, and you may want to consider subscribing and hitting the little bell on the side there. That way you won't miss new content when we upload every single Tuesday. Same process, cleaning my brush and then just using that brush just to blur that edge. You can take it down into this area. Leaving a little gap here, working around this sort of shape that we have down the bottom, just mixing these two up. If you are enjoying this video, could I ask you to hit the like button underneath? It's a way of letting YouTube know that you like me. It's a free way to support me, and I'd really appreciate it if you are enjoying the video. At the start of this video, I mentioned that we provide you with a free traceable. I know it's an easy one this week, but generally speaking, if it is a more complex painting, you can trace down your outline from our free version of Patreon. If you are a member of Patreon, you'll get that anyway as my gift to you. But I do like everybody to join in. I want everybody to be able to join in. So, you know, if you're a little bit nervous about drawing, sometimes it can be a bit off-putting to start your painting. So we give you those as our free membership level, no obligation, completely free, my gift to you. where you can have it delivered weekly to your inbox. You'll get this and the reference photograph where applicable as, like I said, my little thank you to you. Now, it would be rather remiss of me not to tell you that we do have a paid version of Patreon where we upload a brand new full-length botanical painting tutorial every month, as well as other membership benefits, including a mentorship level where you can have one-on-one feedback from me, as well as a monthly video call. So in case that's of interest to you, let's just take a look to see what you get. When you join Patreon, you will have access to exclusive content that you just won't find here on YouTube. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just dipping your brush into botanical watercolour, you may want to join us here on Patreon, where the magic happens. And with Patreon's new collections tab, it makes accessing the tutorials super easy. When you join us here on Patreon, we dive deep into the art of botanical watercolours, from vibrant blooms to fine detail, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. We have 3 membership levels to suit your skill and budget, and we even have a mentorship and coaching level, so if you're serious about developing your skills, then this could be the level for you. And now you can join Patreon for free, which will give you access to all of our YouTube traceables, which will be delivered weekly to your inbox, so no more scrolling through for the images. So if you are ready to embark on a watercolour adventure, unlock exclusive content and join a community that celebrates the beauty of botanicals, hit that join button, which I will link in the description. You can leave and join Patreon at any time, so do check us out. I will link it underneath the video and you can just have a look. If you fancy levelling up your watercolour painting and having that feedback from me, then I'd love to see you there, and it's a way that you can support my channel. Same application, cleaning my brush, patting it dry, and then using that damp brush just to merge those colours around. You can see by applying the paint that way, you're not getting that thick, heavy line that you can sometimes get with watercolour. It makes it look more natural and more blurred. The paint is still damp here, so I'm taking a little bit more of that Starry Night, adding it to the blueberry, and once again with my number 2 brush, this time just dropping some on the inside edge where we've got this darker value. And this gives this another dimension. It looks like the blueberry's kind of 3-dimensional here. And anywhere that you see that darker colour, just drop in your darker value. You could easily do this with one colour, Payne's Grey, or Payne's Grey with a bit of indigo, as I said at the start. But if you've got these colours, or you did want to treat yourself, I will link the code to Deep Deep Light in the description box with my discount code Deep Deep Ray, and you can get 10% off these handmade paints, and they are absolutely beautiful. I've been working with this brand for some time now, and I adore these paints. They are special. So if you wanted to treat yourself, then go ahead. I'm using the brush, whatever's left, I'm just patting and it's releasing into that paint. Okay, same here. Just dropping and patting like this. I'm taking this colour, and at this point I'm just adding a few squiggles here and there where I've got the heavier markings on the blueberry. We've got these definite colours here and there. Just add a little bit of water. You can blur them out if you want to, if you feel they're a bit strong. Just where we've got these darker values. I'm going to take a bit more blueberry and mix it up on its own. Where we've got this blur on the paper, we're coming up with this paint. Just enhancing some of it. I don't want to take it away completely. I just feel it needs a bit of a kind of dry brushy motion here. We're going to be putting our detail in later on. So still using my number 2 brush. Where we've got this area here, I'm just going to come down and just dry brush this on. Where we've got these little markings. Where I'm applying the paint to the bottom part now, I'm just wiggling that brush and taking it into the body of the blueberry. So I'm applying the paint once again over the areas that we first applied, and then taking it around. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm just using this kind of wiggly just letting the brush do the work for you. I'm just pulling it onto the paper, wet on dry. Same again here, applying the paint onto the paper with my number 2 brush, wet on dry. And again, pulling that paint up. Cleaning my brush, patting it dry, and then just pulling that paint. Just follow the shape of the blueberry. And you can see I'm switching my colours as I go. You don't want to take the colour all the way to this side because you want to keep this nice disappearing edge that we've got here. Again, dry brush, and then you're just wiggling that brush onto the blueberry, like this. Keeping the lighter areas light, so you've got this nice shape. Just keep going. So this part of the blueberry is looking a little bit too bloomy, too white. So we're going to address that in a moment. But for now, I'm going to switch brushes and go to my number 4 brush. This one has a super fine point. Okay, this has got a really sharp point, and I'm going to use this to add some of the finer detail at the top where I want to enhance that darker colour. We can still go in a little bit darker here. So I'm going once again to my Starlight, and I'm mixing up a nice puddle of this beautiful dark colour. And because this is granulating, it does separate out a little bit. So mixing that up, and where we've got this pattern now, we can go over with this brush to enhance some of the areas. For example, this one here, this is nice and sharp, so we want to go around the outside just to brighten that up. Any darker areas that are in the middle. Now where we've got this section here, underneath this we've got these darker value. We've got the shadow forming of these little folds that we see here. Take a look at that paint and go straight on to the paper using my number 4 brush. Taking it into that curve and underneath here. So you see this is forming the shadow that's underneath. This side, and then what we're going to do is clean the brush, pat it dry, and then use that damp brush once again to just soften that line. Clean the brush. Using the tip of the brush just to outline this. You can sharpen up any edges. We've got a line coming up here. And we can put this little circle in here. Now it's up to you how dark you want to make that contrast. The beauty of watercolour when you apply it in layers this way is that it does allow you to carry on building. If you were to put a wash down too quickly, too thickly, you wouldn't have the capacity to blend. Okay, just keep blending, adding water, and I'm just using that brush just to pull it up. Now at the moment, I think it's looking a little bit flat, but all I can do at this point is just let it dry and we can start to add a bit more detail in a moment. But I think we need to add a little bit more colour here. Because I feel that the blueberry's looking a little bit flat, I'm going to add a tiny bit of this colour called Forget Me Not. Forget Me Not from Deep Deep Light is another granulating paint which has got flecks of pink inside it. It's a very, very special colour. You don't need to add this colour if you haven't got it, but I've got it in my set. So I'm going to add a little bit of it to add a bit more colour to the bloom. And you can almost see that separation of that pink tone there in the middle. Beautiful tone. If you haven't got that colour, you could use any blue tone just to pack a punch with this. Now watercolour, because watercolour is so buildable and so versatile, we can start to glaze over this colour now with this wash. When we applied our initial colour of blueberry for the bloom, I thought it would look okay. I do feel it needs a little bit of something now that we've got our other tones on. So I'm going back to my number 8 brush, And I'm going to just add a tiny bit of forget-me-not in a puddle here, making sure that this is completely dry. Add a little bit of water to this and now go over that colour. And it just gives it a little something. You don't have to take it everywhere. You can leave some bits untouched to make that blueberry look nice and natural. Just going to add a bit more pigment. You can see by adding that wash, it just merges the colours together that we've already applied, and it just boosts the colour of that blue tone that we have. Watercolour glazing is a fantastic way to unify your colours or even enhance some of that pigment. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more, just to this side. And it just gives it more of that bluey hue. I don't want to put too much, I don't want to overdo it. Just a little bit of glazing here and there. Just going to go back to my number 2 brush, picking up some of that darker value. And this is now damp, so I'm going to just drop in a little bit more. This is your opportunity to strengthen up any colour. I wanted to have a nice soft blur. The edges that are slightly untidy. It does have these lines coming down here. And just drop that in. And I'm going to call this finished. If you've got any questions, please ask me in the comments. Say hello in the comments, introduce yourself, I'd love to meet you. We do have a private Facebook group called The Wonders of Watercolour where you can join us there and you can post your finished paintings and have some feedback from me and our fantastic members and my incredible team who keep us nice and safe. We're an amazing group and I will link it again in the description box underneath this video if you want to join us there. Remember, if you have enjoyed this video, could I ask you to give it a thumbs up just by hitting that little thumbs up button underneath here. It's a way of supporting me and it doesn't cost you a penny and it takes you literally a second to do. You may also want to consider subscribing if you haven't already, because every week on The Wonders of Watercolour we provide you with painting tutorials that are completely free along with the free outlines as I've mentioned before. So remember to head over to Patreon to grab your free digital version and you can join in with us here on The Wonders of Watercolour with me, Ray Campbell. Thank you for watching and let's just take a moment to appreciate the finished painting.